we all know that you are looking at schools, and we just want to share about the place that we love, Henderson-Hopkins, and why we think it's a great choice. And we're not a perfect school. Everybody's working to improve, right? But we have a lot to be proud of. Right now, we're the most improved K-8 in the entire city. We have a premier facility. I mean, if you just please, we can't come in yet because of the pandemic, but look at our school. It is 6 years old, a premier facility. I mean, we just built out a new middle school, and it's just beautiful. Over $50 million new school, state of the art gym, gym, auditorium. I mean, STEAM lab that we're going to show you. Small class sizes, a well-rounded curriculum. We have honors cohorts, and for not only our elementary with CTY, but then also for our middle school. We have an incredible amount of high quality extracurricular options that we're going to talk about as well. Incredible, meaningful community engagement and personalized high school prep. One of the best things about our school is we're going to know each one of your children. We're going to get to know them very deeply, and that we're going to tailor our instruction and our resources to them. So our premier, let me talk a little bit about our premier East Baltimore facility. It's a beautiful building, opened in 2013. It's got Wi-Fi access, everything, everywhere, air conditioned, heat, a brand new gym, library, family resource center, auditorium, STEAM lab, 3 cafeterias, and smartboard technology in every classroom. Every child has a Chromebook in our school. I'm very excited to share that our next renovation is happening. It's beginning. They're marking it off. We have a gorgeous field that's right out there that the kids can run and play games and use all the time. But we've got a donor to make it a premier track and field that students can run around and exercise. I want families to come and while they're waiting for their students to go walk around and exercise. And it's going to be field space for our flag football team, for soccer teams. A place to exercise and fitness is a real priority for us. And we have a beautiful space. I don't even know if you see, there's lights there. I think we're one of the only schools that have lights. We're going to have like lights, and just kids are going to be outside exercising. It's beautiful. Small class sizes. I'm an educator at heart. I think it matters, right? Where your child is going to be known, loved, and appreciated. Our elementary school class sizes are not exceeding 23. Our middle school class sizes are not exceeding 25. When we know that many schools, I know that there's some kindergartner classes that are above 40, and middle school classes well into the 30s. We have small class sizes that we can get to know each one of your children. This is something that I'm real serious about, is the well-rounded curriculum. And I think it's really important that when you come to a place like Henderson-Hopkins, that that we are offering a standards-aligned, rigorous curriculum. We are going to prepare your child for the best high schools and eventually college. And we have a proven curriculum that we use called Wit and Wisdom and Eureka Math. But it goes beyond that. I want your child to do very well academically. But to us, social emotional learning is really important, particularly in this pandemic, right? That we need to make sure our students are emotionally well, that they are talking things through, that they are dealing with conflict with their friends, that they know how to navigate and be well and be healthy. We talk about that. We have a curriculum called Second Step, where we talk about mental health and how to help and support each other as a community. We also, I take very seriously a culturally responsive curriculum. We are in the midst of everyone is examining what we do and how we do things. Our school right now is a 97% African-American community in proud East Baltimore. Elmer A. Henderson is one of the first lead administrators, African Americans in Baltimore City schools. That's the lead of our school, Elmer A. Henderson, a Johns Hopkins partnership school. We are proud of East Baltimore and the Black community, and we celebrate it. We did a unit this year on colors of beauty, on racial identification and pride, and we're going to continue to roll out a culturally responsive curriculum that talks about not only our students' history, but to be proud and how that translates into their voice in social justice. So we're not going to shy away from things that are really tough conversations at different grade levels that are appropriate. A kindergarten conversation is different from an 8th grade conversation. But what's going on right now with racial discrimination and protests around George Floyd and others, we're going to talk with our students about it and how they can be empowered and how they can have a voice. Teachers are trained in culturally responsive instruction and social justice. We don't feel like one strike and you're out. We're not about discipline and punitive measures. We're about holistic, how we help our students. And yes, people do make mistakes. Take accountability and move on. That's our teachers are trained in social justice, and we have a premier science curriculum. STEAM is our focus: science, technology, engineering, arts integration, and math. Okay, and that's really important to us. We want to, and it's not so much about all those subjects. It's about getting our kids to think and be critical thinkers and create and express themselves. So we're doing that. We have honors within our elementary school called the Center for Talented Youth. Have incredible field trips. Our middle schoolers take part in a science fair and National History Day. This picture here is Mr. Merrill taking the middle schoolers to the African American History Museum. So it's just, we take our studies very seriously, and we have a premier curriculum that we're really proud of. One of the things as we're building out our, like I said, we're the most improved K-8 in the entire city, and particularly amongst African-American achievement. We have some of the highest African-American achievement in the city. And that was spiking in the elementary school, and now we're carrying that on into the middle school. So we've built a middle school honors cohort that students have to kind of qualify for. And by the end of 8th grade, the honors cohort takes advanced classes that move fast, covering 1.5 years of learning in 1 year, and they prepare the students for algebra. And we'll be able to, if our students do well at our school, we'll show later is where they go into the high schools. We'll get them into the best high schools in the city, private or public. And then we just have, I mean, it's incredible. When I went in, before I started 3 years ago, I asked our students what they want. They wanted more extracurricular activities. I talk about joy and passion. I want our students to find joy and passion and happiness at our school. And I want them to explore deeply after school, more things that they can do. So we brought in things like a step team for the girls, a flag football team that they're proud of, a basketball team. We have a running club. We have a chess club. We have the stock market club. We have robotics. We allow our students. My vision is when our students come, I don't want them to leave. I want them to do really well academically. Then I want them to stay for dinner and do after school activities. And we had over 500 slots, not only in the fall, but in the spring. So there's so many things for kids to explore, for them to find their best selves. We're very interested in the leadership and environmental education. A 6th grader at Henderson-Hopkins goes on, we work to send them on the North Bay trip, which is a week away, where they learn about environmental education. And in 7th grade, go to Echo Hill. And then on 8th grade, our 8th graders depart and they go on the Appalachian Trail and they hike for a week and they camp. We are building independent thinkers and learners who can take care of themselves. And that's another strand that we really build. That picture you see on the left is That picture you see on the left are the SOAR assemblies with guest speakers. SOAR at our school means we have core values of being scholarly, which means we take our studies seriously, open-minded, which means we treat others well, how we want to be treated, accountable, that when we make mistakes, we take responsibility for them, and relentless. That when we fall down, we dust ourselves up and we keep plugging away. And so last year, our theme was breaking barriers. And we had amazing speakers come and speak to our students about how they can be relentless and break barriers. We had the mayor-elect Brandon Scott come and speak to us, Stephanie Smith. We had Dee Watkins, the famous East Baltimore author, come and speak to our kids, talking about how they can, how they were successful and how our students can be successful too. And we do fun things all the time, like whether it's dances or like a student staff basketball game. So lots of things for students to do and explore.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mr. Canham, for that great introduction to our school. I want to talk a little bit about some of the work that our school does in the community. In order to graduate from a Baltimore City public high school, you have to earn 75 service learning hours. And for many students, they don't even start that work engaging in service learning until they get to high school. Because we're trying to build Baltimore's next generation of leaders, we really start that work from the moment they start at Henderson-Hopkins. What you see here on the left is a picture from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day last January 2020. It was one of the coldest days of the year, and we had 50 of our middle schoolers out in Johnston Square and in Oliver and East Baltimore cleaning up vacant lots. You can see us here hauling away some bulk trash. We really take seriously our community engagement. Our community school coordinator, Annie Weber, is on this call. If you want to come off camera and wave to everybody, she helps organize all of these activities in the community. We are so lucky as a school to have a full-time dedicated staff person who's working to connect our students to opportunities in the community. The picture that you see here on the right is from the groundbreaking of the Henderson Crossing housing project, which is being built across the street from our school. It's going to be beautiful new homes. And you can see two of our students here were invited to speak at the groundbreaking, and we're there with their shovels to commemorate that special occasion alongside Johns Hopkins President Ron Daniels and former Mayor Jack Young. This picture on the left, these two pictures actually are from just last month. Very recently, our students in middle school engaged in a community cleanup with our Senate President, who you can see here in the foreground, Bill Ferguson. And at the time, Council President Brandon Scott, who, as you all now know, is our mayor. You can see here on the right, some of our middle schoolers getting down and dirty in the alley. You know, if there's anything that makes middle schoolers excited to pick up trash, I think it is virtual learning and being stuck in the house all day. We had a great time just a few weeks ago out in the community, earning community service learning hours, understanding the importance of taking care of not just each other, but our neighbors in our city as well. And now I know, as we saw in the chat, a lot of questions about the format of this school year and what we're thinking for next school year as well. As Elmer A. Henderson, a Johns Hopkins Partnership School, we are one of two contract schools in the city of Baltimore. We're treated very much like a charter school, but we are a Baltimore City public school, and we follow, in many ways, Baltimore City public school policies and guidelines. And that meant that we were going to start the school year with virtual learning. And so we wanted to make sure that in this virtual environment that we were providing rigorous live online instruction that is aligned to the existing curriculum that our students would be experiencing in the classroom. We did not want to lose a school year or lose a moment just because we were learning remotely. Our teachers have done an absolutely incredible job pivoting to online learning and delivering really high quality remote instruction. But at the same time, we know that 70% of our families are essential workers. Many of our families work at Johns Hopkins Hospital. Many of our families work in transit. And we know that for some folks, virtual learning just wasn't going to work for them. And so we are really proud that we were the only Baltimore City public school that was open with an in-person option for our families on the first day of school this year. We partnered with the Y in Central Maryland to provide up to 100 of our families who had no other option to send their child to our building so that our students could have access to a safe center for online learning. We're also really proud that when the pandemic hit, we were the first school in East Baltimore that opened our doors for meal distribution. We started out with weekly distribution of groceries to our families through walk up, drive up, and delivery. And this fall, we're offering 5 days a week of meal service between the hours of 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. Any of our families in any Baltimore City public school family can walk up and pick up breakfast, lunch, snack, or supper. And we've continued our weekly distribution of groceries. We have now served over 300,000 pounds of food since the pandemic hit. And we are by far the #1 meal site in Baltimore City. And we take that really seriously. And then lastly, we've partnered with the Johns Hopkins School of Nursing to offer public health support for our families. We've set up a hotline where our families can call and receive guidance and support on some of the tough medical questions that many of our families are facing for the first time during this pandemic. You can see here some of the images on the right. This is Mr. Canham pushing around some food during one of our first public grocery distributions in March. And then this picture below is from the very first day of school at 8 a.m. when we opened our first breakfast site back in September. And now we saw in the chat, there's a question from Ms. Pitts. She was wondering where most of our middle schoolers go off to high school. And that's a great question. It's really important to us, and Mr. Canham talked about this, that we provide personalized, individualized support to our middle schoolers so that they get the guidance that they need to get into one of Baltimore's best possible high schools. So each one of our students gets multiple individual and group meetings with our team. Each student and family gets individually tailored advisement on how to succeed in the high school choice process. Each family receives support in completing the various applications, because while high school choice is a wonderful thing and that our families have choices, it can also be sort of complex and complicated because there are so many different ways that you can apply to high school. And we really think that our individualized approach, the results of it speaks for itself. Over the last few years, we've more than doubled the number of students being accepted to Baltimore's best high schools, and we've cut in half the acceptances to some of Baltimore's lowest performing high schools. So let's talk a little bit about what that means. That means that more of our students are being accepted into Poly, City, Western, Baltimore School for the Arts, Cristo Rey, and Coppin Academy. These are the high schools that are most consistently sending their students on to graduate from high school and then to go to college. Our tier 2 high schools are City Neighbor Charter School, Green Street Academy, Mervo, Bard. You can see the logos on the screen. And then the tier 3 high schools where fewer of our students are going, you can see some of those logos on the screen: Patterson, Vivian T, Ben Franklin. But we know that for some of our students, tier 3 high schools might be their only option. And so Principal Canham and I and our entire team have built relationships with principals and teachers and school leaders at schools across all 3 of these tiers. And we can advise our families on what we think will be the best fit for their student, regardless of what their high school options are. Now, some of you may be thinking, okay, well, that's 8 years down the road, and we're already talking about high school, but we think it's really important for our families to plan with the end in mind. You want to make sure that you're sending your student to a school that's going to know them, that's going to love them, and that's going to support them from the moment they enter our doors, whether it's through pre-K, kindergarten, all the way through to the 8th grade. But now let's talk about applying to Henderson-Hopkins and the moment that you're in right now. Many of you have already gone to k8.hendersonhopkins.org and clicked the Apply Now button. And thank you all for doing that. On February 10th, we will hold a lottery to determine who is admitted and who is waitlisted based on the applications that we've received. Now, I know that many of you are putting in the chat that you're hoping to learn a little bit more about how our admissions process works, and that's a great question. As a contract school, we have a different admissions policy from pretty much every other school in Baltimore. Families who live or have been relocated from the East Baltimore Development Initiative footprint, which is outlined in blue, it's bordered by East Madison Street, North Patterson Park Avenue, the train tracks, and North Broadway. If you live in that zone, you are first priority for gaining acceptance to Henderson-Hopkins. If you have a student who is already enrolled in our school, and I see some of our current parents on the call tonight, likely because you have another student who's applying to Henderson-Hopkins, you all will be considered a priority 2 family. I also know that there are a few folks on the call who work in East Baltimore at Johns Hopkins, and you would be considered a priority 3. If you work in the expanded EVDI footprint as outlined by the red line on this map, you are considered priority 3. And then our 4th priority families are residents of neighboring school zones. Collington Square to our north, Dr. Bernard Harris to the west, Hartford Heights to the northwest, and Tench Tillman to the southeast. If your student, if you live in one of those neighboring school zones, which you can see on this map here in green, then you are considered priority 4. And then priority 5 is any Baltimore City resident. So if you fit any of these criteria, whichever one is the highest is the one that you will be considered during the application process. And Ms. Cook, if you have a specific question about whether your street falls into one of those zones, go ahead and send me a private message, okay, on Zoom, or you can send me an email at jdmerrill@bcps.k12.md.us, and I can let you know which zone that you fall in. And that falls for any of you who may have a question. So if you're on this call tonight and you have not yet submitted an application, the most important action item from this call is to go to our website, k8.hendersonhopkins.org/apply now, and get your application in. Some of you may be wondering, and I saw it in the chat, what are my chances of getting in? Some of you may be priority 5 families and you want to know, do I have a shot? Is it even worth it? The answer is absolutely yes. You always have a shot. Many of our students that are enrolled in our school currently were admitted as priority 5 students. We have students enrolled in our school who live in every single zip code in Baltimore City, from as far south as Brooklyn and South Baltimore. This year, we anticipate accepting approximately 68 students at our lottery. All students who are not accepted will be added to our wait list. So even if you don't get in through our lottery process, you might get a call later in the spring or summer letting you know that your number's been called. So if spots open up after the lottery, we will go down the wait list and invite people to enroll. What you can see on the right is a breakdown of how many students we anticipate enrolling through our lottery process. Now, of course, these numbers could change. If families let us know that they're moving out of state and a seat's going to open up, we'll increase. But as of right now, we anticipate accepting 48 kindergartners, which means that if you are applying for kindergarten, you have the best shot of getting in because we have the most available seats. So here are some important dates. The deadline to apply is February 3rd, 2021. All applications received after that date will automatically be waitlisted. Then 1 week later, on February 10th, we will hold our lottery. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, that lottery will likely be held via Zoom, very similar to the format for our meeting tonight. And then on February 22nd, parent notification letters will be sent. We're then going to ask that by April 9th, you let us know if you are confirming or declining your acceptance. If you decline your acceptance, we'll then offer your seat to the next person on the wait list. If you confirm your acceptance, you then will move forward into enrolling in Henderson-Hopkins. Now, I know that there's at least one parent on the line tonight who is interested in our pre-K. We anticipate accepting 23 students into our pre-K. But our pre-K program is not run by our school, it's run by Baltimore City Public Schools, which means that we have a separate enrollment process for our pre-kindergarten families. The admissions process for pre-K will not even open up until April 2021. At that time, we will enroll families who are considered low income or who have students with disabilities. And then starting July 1, we'll start enrolling all of our other families if space is available. So that provides an overview of our Henderson-Hopkins school and our admissions process. I see that we have a lot of questions in the chat that we will go through one by one. But if we're not able to answer your question tonight, I wanted to share with you our contact information. Principal Canham's email is on the screen. It's pcanham01@bcps.k12.md.us. And I've already placed my email in the chat. In addition, please follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Henderson-Hopkins and on Twitter and Instagram at HHPS_Eagles You'll see a lot of great activity on our social media. We have a lot of exciting things happening in our school. Okay, anything else you want to say, Mr. Cam, before we start answering questions?
No, well, that was just wonderful. I would just say a couple things. Number one is, yeah, please follow us. You'll get a real sense of who we are and what we're doing in the community on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Next is also spread the word. We have spots. We are a school on the move. You may have friends and families that are looking for schools as well. And there literally is no harm in dropping in an application, right? Because we'll go through it and we'll offer spots, and then those spots will open up. So if it's not only about you, you guys can also spread the word for us as well, because we're growing our school, we're adding spots, and we want phenomenal families to join us as well. So spread the word. So no, I'm ready for questions, Mr. Merrill.
Great. I'm going to scroll all the way up to the top of the chat, and I want to make sure that we've hit on everything.
And just keep on, if any questions, just keep on putting them in the chat, and then we'll just go through them. Okay, let's take the first one.
So the first question, Mr. Cam, is about next school year. Obviously, we're virtual this school year. Do we have any sense of what our format will look like for next school year?
No, I mean, our building, first of all, is another advantage of our building. When I think about, it's very safe. When we're allowed to open either hybrid or full, we will be ready. We did a working group with Johns Hopkins over the summer. We have the PPE, we have the sanitizer, we have the building is 135,000 square feet. It spreads out. So if we can only do hybrid, meaning half of the students, we could do that and spread students out. We could even think about when we get the word, doing everybody back to school. It all depends. We want to be safe. We take safety very, very important, not only for our students, but our families, but our staff, whom we love, our teachers. We got to take care of everybody. But the number one thing is, once we get the go ahead, whether that's in January, February, March, or next school year, I'm going to tell you, this team's going to be ready. But we have to wait. We have to wait and do what's safe. But right now, we are fully virtual, remote. But then we have those students, Mr. Merrill said, up to 100 who come to our school every day, and they do their remote learning at our school. So we'll do what's best, and we'll just follow the safety guidelines.
Great. Thanks so much, Mr. Cam. The next question is, can you talk a little bit about what partnerships our school has?
Oh,
boy, do we have a lot.
Yeah. How much time do we have? We have, so number one, we have an amazing, again, if Miss Hayes and Miss Weber want to come on as well, we have so many amazing partnerships. We have the Maryland Food Bank, first of all. The reason why we could give out 300,000 pounds of food in the last 6 months is because we already had a pre-existing relationship with the Maryland Food Bank that we grew. And what we want to do is work with our families to actually not only is be healthy eaters. And so we have something called they do the fresh market, where they go grocery shopping in our school. We just have, that's a very dynamic partnership. Our deepest partnership is with Johns Hopkins University. They are the School of Education. We are able to get work with them to get resources, like our students go visit the campus. We had our lacrosse team go meet the girls' lacrosse team and visit the campus. We have so many partnerships when it comes to those extracurricular activities. We don't do them alone. We partner with organizations like theater organizations. We have banner neighborhoods to offer athletics. We have Science Outside the Lines, which is another partnership. We have so many partnerships to deliver activities for our students that we're really proud of. A deep partnership with the Johns Hopkins School of Nursing. They help us so many different ways by having a health and wellness strategy at our school. I literally could go on. And if you want to put another question, is there something specifically that you want to see if is at our school? I could answer that. The other thing I really want to talk about that's really serious is the whole child. making sure our students are well, not only academically, but mentally and social emotionally. We have 9 professionals that show up to our building every day: a counselor, a mental health counselor, a psychologist, a speech therapist, a team of special educators, um, speech language pathologist, to take care of the needs of all students. And it's very important to me because kids are going through a lot right now, and we have to make sure they can sort through things and support families. So it's other deep partnerships we have. Um, Another one is Roberta's House. Roberta's House is for people, students who are grieving the loss of a family member. And we have a set of students who have lost someone very close to them. And how do they do basically the grief counseling? So we have an expert in the organization that comes in and works with our students. So we have lots of partnerships.
Great. And thank you so much, Mr. Kim. And this Weber, our community school coordinator, put an exhaustive list of those partnerships in the chat.
Ooh, she typed fast.
Yeah. And there's probably even more than that. So if you want to see, you can take a look in the chat at that long list of partnerships that we have. I mean, we are a partnership school, and we know it takes a village. So we're always reaching out and building partnerships, as Mr. Canham said. Mr. Canham, our next question is, do we have before and after care? What about our folks that work before our school day starts and work long after it ends?
Yeah. So we offer it from 6 a.m. To 6 p.m. That is right now, our provider is an organization called Fitness, Fun, and Games, and they do offer scholarships, or it's for pay. So between our school day starts at 8:45, so from 6, as early as 6 to 8:45, you could do it, and then after school till 6 p.m. But that does have a cost. We don't provide that. We work with an organization to do that. And our school day ends at 3:45.
That's right. Our school day is from 8:45 in the morning until 3:45 in the afternoon. Mr. Cam, we have some parents on here that are going to be sending their child to school for the very first time into kindergarten, right? And they're going to be sending their babies out of the house, and they might want to know about safety, right? Their first priority is sending their kid to a safe school. Can you talk about how safe Henderson-Hopkins is?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, we just have an experienced set of educators, and we have small class sizes with a paraeducator supporting them. And we just have this beautiful classrooms that are with their own bathrooms that our kindergartners can take part in. So we just go through, we know what we're doing. We have their own entrance of the building, kindergarten. It's called Duncan Court. It's right down on Ashland Avenue. We have a separate gate where they come in, they line up, and they're taught by experienced educators who will teach them to get them ready to read and do their math. We have a very safe and secure playground space. I mean, again, I'm a big deal. I was one of those kids that needed to get outside. So I really am a believer in kids getting outside and playing. And so we have multiple spaces, if you drive by our school, that you can see that the kids can play, and we're under supervision. So it's just it's a safe place. And then we also do know, if you want to, we also know that when part of the goal in kindergarten is social skills and working with students, and our students get into conflict, our kindergarten and first graders, and we have a whole process of navigating that. So if a kid is on the playground and they're running and they bump into each other and they both fall down and they both get upset, we have a protocol that we take to basically mediate conflict and have students take responsibility for their action, and they talk about how they feel, and they also then apologize when appropriate. So we have a whole protocol, because it's not just about physical safety, it's also about emotional safety. And I'm gonna I know this maybe wasn't part of the question, but things like bullying, cyberbullying, we're very on top of. We want everybody to feel safe and loved. When we talk about discrimination, kids of different races or different sexual orientations or all that stuff, we don't let anybody be mean. And now kids are mean, that's part of the deal, but we make sure that people take care of each other and we address it. We don't let anything slide. I take it very seriously, that this is a safe and loving place when you come to school. We got to teach kids how to take care of each other.
Great. So that's all the questions I'm seeing in the chat, folks. If you have other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And remember, visit k8.hendersonhopkins.org/apply now to get your application in. If you have friends, family members, or neighbors looking for a great school, I hope you'll spread the word that Henderson-Hopkins is a great choice. Mr. Kane, would you like me to go ahead and play our admissions video while we maybe wait for other questions?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do this. Thank you everyone so much for coming.
I'm very happy I chose Henderson-Hopkins, not just for the academics, but I think they are very intentional about making sure that every child has their needs met, just the whole child. So it's not just about how well they're doing in the classroom, but also their outside classroom interests. I'm really confident in the school.
Henderson-Hopkins is situated in historic East Baltimore, and it's really looking to deliver on a promise of an exceptional school here. It's a partnership between Johns Hopkins University and the historic African-American community of East Baltimore, coming together and delivering a great school that our kids deserve.
We are a unique group of people who consist of teachers and principals, psychologists, and so many others who are extremely passionate about achieving one goal, which is to unleash the joy and passion of learning in our students.
My favorite subject is math. I like it because I like a challenge.
I think the best thing to do for students is really have a high bar of expectations. To be able to be a premier STEAM school, we have to offer honors level coursework. And at our middle school, we have an honors level cohort where students can take the most demanding classes. It's about having a great academic environment, but then also having a well-rounded experience as well.
I do Spanish lessons, gymnastics, step.
I did science outside the lines. It was fun because we did science and coloring and arts and things like that.
We are the most improved K-8 in Baltimore, but one of the things I'm most proud of is we have some of the largest gains for our African-American students. We doubled the number of students getting into Tier 1 high schools in Baltimore City. To prepare students for the world to come, they need to be able to think, build, and create. We have made STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts integration, and math, really our focus of our school.
You have the resources to be able to go beyond the book, beyond the page, and really test your skills. I want them to be able to go any place in this school and find a way to apply STEAM to what they're doing.
We also have a responsibility to the larger community. When COVID-19 hit, we realized we needed to pivot like everybody, and food distribution was paramount. How do we get food out to our families? And we came up with a plan around that. But it was broader than that as well. We set up a hotline with the Johns Hopkins School of Nursing. We've distributed over 25,000 masks. We set up a safe center for online learning at our school. Every day, over 100 students show up and they can do their remote learning in person, get a good meal, have a laptop to work on, and a good internet connection. Because we know most of our families are essential workers and have to go to work. So we wanted to give that option for families.
We worked really hard and very quickly to come up with a thorough plan to ensure that the education that the students deserved was given to them.
They have such a good community and such a good culture, and they strive for every child to succeed. And so you can't have a better school.
For my daughter Maya going into middle school, it was very important that the whole child be taught. We had other choices. Thankfully, she was accepted, but we decided to stay with HHPS.
I think what makes Henderson-Hopkins special is how they have high expectations for every student. So no student is left out of the standard. And I think they believe that every child can meet that standard, and they're putting it all on the line to make sure they're doing their part to help. So it's very much a partnership. So you're bringing your child and your family, and they're bringing everything else. And where the two meet, then the kids soar.
One of the things that we have to offer here is a really small, intimate learning experience.
My favorite thing about this school is the teachers. It's just a really cool school to be at.
This is more than just a school, this is a home. We want people to come and join this family. We are growing fast. We have a lot of ambition and missions and goals that we want to achieve. So we want everybody to be a part of that.
You can make really good friends here and you could learn like a lot of stuff. I like that I get treated like I'm family.
We believe that she is in good hands when she is at Henderson-Hopkins.
We can achieve anything here.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming tonight. We appreciate you. You know how to get in touch with us. Spread the word. Get your application in. Tell your friends. Tell your family members. And I really appreciate you giving us some of your time tonight. Thank you all.